I am light. 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 We are light. We are light. We are divinity defined. We are the God on the inside. We are a star, a piece of it all. We are light. We are light. We are light. We are Oh, that was kind of weird, but anyway. You're so light, and wow, the earth loves you, and we love you.
Our theme for this month, as Linda said, is getting grounded or back to basics. And our talk this morning is entitled The Principles of Successful Living. Our theme today is the science of mind is not a get-rich-quick scheme, nor does it promise something for nothing. However, it does promise that if we embody its teachings, we shall be able to bring greater possibilities and happier conditions into our experience. The thought of going back to the basics may have some of you rolling your eyes and thinking, here we go again. Because much of the information shared in Sunday messages, especially the basics, many, if not all of us, have heard before in one form or another. However, although I have some knowledge stored in this mind of mine, and I continue to gather more, I find that true growth comes only when I move knowledge from theory into action. This is where we can begin and continue to discover what is behind our thoughts and uncover our true beliefs. When I first started coming to the center, I kept hearing the tagline, "Change your thinking, change your life." I liked it. It was simple, it seemed quick, and I jumped in with both feet. So each Sunday, I would listen carefully, and during the week, as I became more aware of my thoughts that were running around through my brain, I would spend some time mulling over them to see if they could be changed or simply discarded. After a while, I started seeing my life change in small and in some large ways. I also began to realize that this catchy little phrase was barely scratching the surface of this philosophy. And if I was going to realize lasting change in my life, I would need to dig a little deeper. However, the phrase also sparked my curiosity and brought me a glimmer of hope that my life really could change. This made me willing to step into the unknown, and still today keeps me on this journey of discovery, even when I'm afraid. I don't know about you, but in the past, I had a tendency to settle into a place of comfortable complacency. However, since starting down this path, getting too comfortable for too long is no longer an option. It is still my understanding that for me, true growth and change is found only on the edge of self-discovery and discomfort. Ernest Holmes tells us there is a power for good. There is a power for good in the universe, which is available to all. In order to utilize this power most effectively, Ernest Holmes identified some basic principles for successful living. The first principle is to begin cultivating our connection with our own unique self, taking the time to discover what we truly desire and setting intent. This is not a new principle. It is a principle that has withstood the test of time and has been shared by many throughout the centuries. These are some of my favorite quotes. "He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened. No one is free who has not obtained the empire of himself. No man is free who cannot command himself. To know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. Your own self-realization is the greatest service you can render the world. Learn to know yourself, to search realistically and regularly the processes of your own mind and feelings. And finally, the closer you come to knowing that you alone create the world of your experience, the more vital it becomes for you to discover just who is doing the creating. Time and again throughout history, we have been urged to self-discovery. At this point in our evolution, I believe that each of us is being called to do the sacred work of deeper self-discovery and healing. We can continue to think that others need to do their work. But the truth is, we all have work to do. If we continue to step up and do this work, it not only expands and heals our own lives, but the ripple we create will become a tidal wave of love and healing for our community, the larger community, and our world. For me, the trick has been how to do this work without that inner critic running rampant with blame and shame. One day, while talking about some belief, Reverend Donald said he was on to himself. I liked it, so I latched onto this phrase for myself. Because I found that it helps to keep that inner critic quiet. When I say I'm on to myself, it means I can see why I am thinking, believing, saying, or doing something without blame or shame, which is more loving and supportive of my continued exploration and growth. And when I can do it for others, it also helps their process. When blame and shame are no longer part of the equation, I am free to more fully examine my thoughts and beliefs. I can more readily see if my thoughts and beliefs and actions are in alignment with my values and whether they continue to support and move me forward in life. So when I hear, see, or feel something I find disruptive or disturbing, So to the way I think should be, to the way I think things should be, I can often see it is simply an opportunity for me to discover with loving curiosity the best course of action for me. I may ask myself some questions, such as, let me have a drink here. Do I need to step away? Am I, heaven forbid, contributing to the circumstances in some way? Or, my favorite, how am I choosing to justify my response? If I remain open, the right questions always appear to move me forward toward my highest and best. The second spiritual principle is to develop our spiritual muscle. We develop our spiritual muscle through understanding the power of our thoughts and beliefs and learning how to use the tools of meditation, visioning, and affirmative prayer. All of these tools help us to release our stories and to instead focus on our desired outcome and surrender the how to spirit. Now hear me, that the development of your spiritual muscle is not a passive undertaking. The practices of meditation, visioning, and affirmative prayer settles the mind so that we can be more receptive to the impress of spirit. It is important to not only listen, but to move our feet. Get up each day and move as if that which you desire is already at hand. Remember, this isn't a get-rich scheme. But if you are willing to do the work, the way will be made ready. Ernest Holmes tells us, when the mind is peaceful and still, it catches a vision of this greater good. While the mind is in turmoil and combat, it cannot receive an image beyond the limiting circle of the small measure in which it has been treading around. I love this quote because it reminds me to breathe. Nothing, and I mean nothing, has ever gone well when I choose to react while my mind is in turmoil or I'm gearing up for combat. Even if I won, I lost. The damage to myself and others was not easily healed, and it always left a scar. I would love to tell you that these days I always respond to events and circumstances in my life with love and understanding. I will, however, tell you that my odds of having this happen have greatly improved as I learn to take a breath and to step back to get a broader perspective. I have also learned that both of these reactions come more readily when I am meditating, visioning, and using affirmative prayer to quiet my mind chatter, which in turn helps me to see more clearly. In the science of mind, Ernest tells us, we do not take that which we wish, but we do attract to ourselves that which is like our thought. We provide the mold for the creative law, and unless the mold provided is increased, substance cannot increase our experience. There's the rub. This is important information to have, not to beat ourselves up, but to see where we need to do some adjusting. You can recognize the thoughts and beliefs that have Can you recognize the thoughts and beliefs that have manifested in your life? If so, do you find them limiting or expansive? The good news is, whether they are limited or expansive, you can change your thoughts and beliefs to become even more expansive. Why not shoot for the moon? Why not come to the well of endless supply with a barrel rather than a teacup? As Marianne Williamson once said, "You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world." The third spiritual principle is to become open to receiving our good. Finally, we cultivate a willingness and capacity to receive our good. We begin right where we are with some simple practices such as acting as if and gratitude. As many of you know, a gratitude journal is a wonderful tool for recognizing the abundance and loving support that surrounds and sustains us. We are each a unique expression of that one Spirit, and we live and have our being in an abundance of pure potential. Once again, from The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes reminds us, our part is to be ready and willing to be guided into truth and liberty, and all doubt and fear must go, and in their place must come faith and confidence. For we shall be led by the Spirit into all good, not sometimes, but always. In order to be able to receive the full measure of our good, which, by the way, is only limited by our ability to receive, we must first do some mental house cleaning. This is one of the reasons our journeys for self-discovery are so important. If you haven't started, it is time to clean up those thoughts and beliefs that at best are no longer useful, and at worst are throwing up roadblocks on every inroad you make. Although I think I have done a lot of house cleaning over the years, I still, just yesterday, run into thoughts, stories, and beliefs that are no longer of service or still limit my experience of life. This is why we need to remind ourselves of the basics periodically. It is important, even if we've been on this path for eons, to continue our journeys of self-discovery, utilizing our tools of meditation, visioning, and affirmative prayer to continue developing our spiritual muscle, keeps us mentally and spiritually strong, ready to meet life's challenges and adventures with open and loving arms. This day, and always, there are no limits to our growth and discovery. As we continue to expand, Spirit simply says yes and fills to overflowing the container we have provided. We have provided. In closing today, I would like you to join me it's a day of affirmations. I was delighted with Jim this morning because he went through a bunch, and I loved this one. And so in closing, I would like you to join me in affirming this for ourselves. I have a love-hate relationship with affirmations because I believe that they are great tools. However, if they become rote, they are no longer a tool. So let's put some feeling into this. As a unique expression of Spirit, I step into life in amazing and wonderful ways, and I am supported every day in every way. Thank you. Thank you, Kurt. So as we rest into this perfect moment, I recognize that one presence, that one power that moves in and through all of life. Always has, always will, without beginning and without end. Expressing as divine right action, absolute love and intelligence and power. And resting in this knowing, I know that each of us and all of creation are part and parcel of that one, coming into expression through that one spirit, that one power, with all of those attributes fully formed and ready for our use. So hold that in mind as you step forward to share your desires with practitioners. So hold them in your mind with love and comfort. So as we bring this time of realization, all those prayers that were spoken and all those prayers that were held in consciousness during this time are yet moving into realization. I'm grateful for this time together. I'm grateful for every person in this room, bringing the gift that you are to this moment with open hearts and open minds, expanding into our next great adventure. So I just release this word. It is spoken, therefore it's done. As together we say, and so